The following program is brought to you in living color by Trek World.
Remember that in all of these videos, there's going to be a link in the description that you can go to where you will actually be taken to an affiliate link on Amazon showing you the availability of the books that I've been discussing.
Season 2 of Star Trek The Original Series was a turning point in space and in studio. The show had survived its first year, but now it faced new pressures, tougher scripts, network constraints, and a fan base still fighting just to be heard. Marc Cushman's These the Voyages, The Original Series, Season 2, tears open that world, showing how every episode was a negotiation between imagination, budget, between censorship and character, between what was scripted and what made it to air. Today, we will travel back to 1967, to the sets, to the writers' rooms, to the firing cameras, and we will see Season 2 not as a telegrammed footnote, but as a battlefield of ideas, alliances, and dreams. With over 680 pages, Cushman's Season 2 volume is a deep dive in every sense of the word. Each episode gets its own microhistory. Script drafts, production diaries, post-production notes, original broadcast data, and fan reactions. It begins with a full season's arc. Casting changes. 𝐶𝐿 joins the crew. Producer transitions. 𝐦𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 leaves, and how NBC's shifting expectations put new pressure on the series. Each episode follows a consistent layout. Opening credits and creators, story behind the story, production challenges, post-production, broadcast reception, and then from the mailbag for the fan's voice. The appendices make it even stronger. Episode indices by production and air date, correspondence indexes, and quick reference for the season. The structure turns Cushman's work into more than a retrospective. It becomes a reference compendium for editors, for producers, historians, and even fans who want granular traceability. It's a textual star chart. Now, as usual, what makes this System 2 volume exceptional is its microscopic fidelity to production reality. Cushman doesn't settle for anecdotes. He unearths original memos, rewrites, network notes, studio budgets, and raw draft pages. You see episode by episode how stories evolved. From how Amok Time initially had Maggie as Spock's love interest before D.C. Fontana convinced Roddenberry to reuse Christine Chapel, because she was already established. You witness casting tensions. Sulu missing from episodes while George Takei was loaned out to film work. Crew shifts. Tight shooting schedules. Script doctoring. And even daily location reports. Cushman also gives voice to the lesser known. Guest stars sharing set stories. Stunt teams describing mishaps. Property masters complaining about budget cuts. Equally compelling is how he integrates fan reaction. The mailbag sections show how fans responded in real time, often influencing network perception. Visually, this volume is rich. Period photos of sets, behind-the-scenes shots, script pages, fan letters. Each image feels like proof that the stories we love were real, messy, and built by human hands. In summary, it's not a season retrospective. It's an excavation of one of television's boldest experiments. Now, even the most expansive work has its limits. Cushman's drive for thoroughness sometimes leads to density. Long stretches of script comparison and memo exchanges can slow the narrative flow. Many readers admit the volume feels like drinking from a fire hose. Some episodes get more exhaustive treatment. Others feel compressed due to the lack of existent material. The balance between episodes isn't always uniform. Critics also pointed out occasional factual discrepancies. Visually, some photos are small, grainy, or minimally captioned. In a volume already heavy in pages, layout choices can make certain visuals easy to overlook. Cushman sometimes fills gaps with speculation where no direct document is available. While he usually labels such conjecture, the boundary between documented fact and inferred interpretation can sometimes blur. But perhaps its greatest flaw is that, paradoxically, it's also its strength. Such depth demands patience. This isn't a reading that you breeze through. It's a commitment, one that rewards, but will also test you. Cushman's chapters on Journey to Babel, the Doomsday Machine, and the Trouble with Tribbles crack open canonical moments and show how they were built. Some nearly undone by network interference, budget cuts, or casting conflicts. Take Journey to Babel. Cushman reveals how early drafts added diplomatic representatives and extra scenes that needed to be cut, how the Vulcan-Romulan subplot evolved, and how the Klingon costume redesign was rushed. Or the Doomsday Machine. The monster ship sequence almost collapsed under budget constraints and effects challenges. Cushman walks you through the alternate effects tests and cut shots. In The Trouble with Tribbles, you learn how the furballs multiplied, how some scenes got truncated, and how audience response reshaped the show's priorities. Cushman also dedicates space to mid-season tension, how 𝐬𝐮𝐿's exit and internal politics affected script choices. These are the moments when fandom meets craft, and Cushman guides you inside those rooms. Season 2 is often seen as the point where Star Trek matured. Many fans and critics consider it to be the series' high watermark. This volume will help explain why, not by mystifying opinion, but in laying out the data, ratings, fan mail, network decisions, and internal costs. Cushman charts the Save Star Trek campaign, the flood of letters from fans that convinced NBC to renew for a third season. That organizational energy became part of Star Trek's DNA. He also shows how merchandising, licensing, and syndication began to feed the franchise's survival long before films were imagined. Posters, novelizations, conventions, all part of the ecosystem that would keep Trek alive. Culturally, Season 2 helped cement Star Trek's legacy. Storytelling that combined adventure, allegory, and character conflict. This volume reminds us how many moving parts sustained that ambition. In retrospect, you can see why so many Star Trek books, reference works, and documentaries treat These Are the Voyages as foundational, a template for how deep TV history should be told. So, is These Are the Voyages, the original series, Season 2, worth your time? Without hesitation. It's a marvel of documentary ambition. It may not always guide like narrative prose, but it lands with authority and depth. For historians, it's primary source treasure trove. For fans, it's a map on how their show survived biological, network, and cultural pressure. Cushman's work demands that you slow down and pay attention, but the reward is clarity. How scripts once torn apart were rebuilt, how fans rallied to a show's defense, how legacy begins in letters and edits, not in studio announcements. Season 2 wasn't just another set of episodes. It was the moment that Star Trek found its voice under fire. And These Are the Voyages gives that moment back to us, raw, textured, and alive.